Welcome to the Unicorn After Dark. We're not only talking about all things independent comics, but everything comics. I'm Mikey.
I'm Seamus.
And today, people are back at again with another episode of the Unicorn After Dark, episode number 33 of the podcast. And today, before we even get to our topic, we have a special guest with us. My boy, my guy, my brother in the Xion Shadow Cabinet. You know who runs the podcast. This is the end on the Xion Network. My boy Roun. Roun, thanks for joining us, bro. We appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
Listen, man, I had to, because after that conversation we had, I'm like, I had to bring him on. For this, man.
Yeah. As they can see, I'm a DMC fanboy, so I have strong opinions on this new show.
Oh, absolutely. But yeah, making his Indie Corner debut. Congratulations. Now you can cross it off your bucket list.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know it. Yeah. It was at the top.
Prestigious.
But yes, people, we're back again on the podcast. We're gonna be talking. If you haven't could tell by the thumbnail already, we're talking about the highly anticipated. I'm not gonna say well received, but mixed received. Devil May Cry anime exclusive that's gonna be streaming. Has been streaming on Netflix since Friday. So yeah, we're excited. We're excited, people. Because again, we're all DMC fanboys in here, so we have a good amount to say. And already our boys Mose in the building. Shout out to Mose. Shout out to Cameron. Oh man, yeah. See, I'm surprised, bitches. Roun's here. You didn't see that shit coming. Yeah, people, we got a good show. We got a good show for y'all. Again, it's very exciting because this is an anime that's been announced for a while. So we're getting right into it. But first, Seamus, Roun, we gotta let the people know. We gotta discuss our love for this franchise. So what is your history with Devil May Cry? I think Roun, since you're our guest, I think you should start us off.
And okay, I started my DMC journey with DMC1 on the PS2. So I've been playing DMC1. I've played DMC from the time it came out. I played DMC1 on the PS2. I thought it was amazing. It was like revolutionary. It changed the game. Picked up DMC2. Afterwards, I'm in the small camp that thinks that DMC2 it gets too much hate. It's absolutely the worst DMC. But I think a bad DMC game is still a good game, period. So DMC2 is fun. DMC game. I platinum DMC3. I platinum the reboot that everyone hates. I didn't platinum 5, but I beat 5 all the way up to Hell in Hell mode. I watched the original anime. I've read most of the manga / comics. I read the first novel, DMC Volume 1. I never read DMC Volume 2. It was trash. Don't worry about it. So yeah, I'm all up to date on DMC.
Okay. All right, Seamus.
I started playing when I was, what was it? I think my first one was 4 when I was like 8 or 9. I got it on my PS3. It was one of the first games I got for my PS3 when I got it. And then from there, I went back and played 1 and 2 and 3 on my PS2 I had at the time. And yeah, I also played like 100%ed all those games back in the day. I played the remake and hated that. People say DMC2 is the worst, but the remake is pretty tough to get through. It's really just like DMC2's gameplay is kind of bad, but DMC remake story is so rough. So that's more of a pick your poison situation with me. I would take 2 over the reboot, but 5 was like, it was, I watched that live when that was announced and I cried because I never thought we were getting another one with how bad Capcom was doing. But I was just gracious that we even got a new one, and it was so good. Good. So I love Devil May Cry so much. I read the manga. I watched that original anime from 2009. I've done all that shit. I've been there. I've been in the trenches.
Seamus, don't one up Roun, man. Come on now. He's an OG in the game.
Let's have a love. Share the love with Devil May Cry, okay?
I'm glad to have Seamus on the DMC camp, man. Well,
For sure. With me, I knew of DMC because I had cousins who had the game on PS2, but they would never let me play it because I would like break everything when I was a child. So, but my first DMC game, I mean, I'm gonna be the the fish out of water here, but my first DMC game was the reboot. Like my first physical copy was the reboot that came out when I was in I was in middle school at the time. Again, I was a fan of Ninja Theory because they did one of my favorite games of all time on Enslaved. I love that game. So
oh my god,
yeah,
Enslaved?
Yeah.
You know what's funny? Well, Mikey, we'll get into it later, but like the difference between Enslaved and the DMC reboot is very similar to the difference between Castlevania and the DMC anime. I'll talk about it later, but I just realized that's very. I'll bring that. We'll.
Okay. Yeah. We'll bring it back. We'll bring it back. But yeah, I that reboot again because didn't really know much of Devil May Cry, so at the time I enjoyed it and I loved the combat. The combat was really fun. But then when DMC 5 came out when I was in college, I really wanted to get into it, so I bought the HD collection, played through 1, unfortunately 2, 3, and then 4. Really loved 3 and 4 a lot. 1 I thought was good. 2, 2 is trash. Obviously, we all know that. Sorry, Roun, underrated. You think it's underrated? My fault. Underrated. And 3 I thought 3 was great. I thought 4 was a lot of fun and introduced me to Nero. Nero's like one of my favorite characters. And then I love 5. 5 is my favorite. 5 was fantastic. I played it and replayed it. It's wonderful. So, but didn't really read any of the manga. There was a comic book that came out like, crap. What was I think under Dreamwave? Like I found it like in the trenches like when I was on the site that can't be named. But knew there was a comic, read that a little bit. That was cool. Didn't read the manga, so and I didn't watch I didn't get a chance to watch the old the 2009 2003 anime. But me and Roun were talking about it, and maybe Roun and you and Roun will fill in some of the differences when we want to compare this to that as well. But listen, I love DMC. I love Devil May Cry. It's become, even though I got into it later in my life, it's become one of my favorite games, like franchises. I love it a lot. So I was very looking forward to this. Cameron said your audio is garbled, like you're drowning, Roun. I don't know. I mean, it might sound a little better now. You said you stopped speaking.
I just switched devices, so hopefully that helps. Let me know if it's only in her cam.
Okay, that did help a little bit. All right, that's fine.
Okay, sweet.
But yeah, man, Devil May Cry, great. Thumbs up. We all love these games, so we're gonna. It's gonna be a tough critique of this anime. But yeah, we'll just before we get into the nitty gritty real quick, I want to just briefly just talk about like how this anime happened, because I mean, me and Seamus have talked about it. When the first trailer for this came out, but the people that don't know, this series is pretty much helmed and created by this producer and filmmaker named Adi Shankar, who I've known for a long time because I've known him since watching his fan films when I was a kid. I did a iconic like Punisher fan film with Thomas Jane back in the day. He did Power Rangers, like rated R Power Rangers, was really cool, and he had a thing called the Bootleg Universe, which I watched for years. But then obviously he's also known for adapting Castlevania and then later Castlevania Nocturne, which is like one of my favorite animes that Netflix has ever done. Like I love Castlevania a lot, and also he produced one of my favorite movies of all time, Dread, that me and Seamus have had many talks about, and I love Dread. Roun, I would assume you also mess with Dread. You like Dread?
Yeah, I love Dread. Dread was sick.
Yeah, man. Dread 2, make it happen, please. I know it's been like over a decade, but please make it happen.
Yeah, I'm done.
But yeah, he is the kind of like the creator, producer, and the face of this. He announced this like 6 years ago. I remember we announced it on IGN, like back then we announced, and we were all like waiting ever since. So it's been a long wait, and I think he partnered with Studio Mir to do this, and Studio Mir has become one of my favorite animation studios in the past like several years. So We'll get to animation and stuff like that, but yeah, man, that is how this anime came to be. Anything anyone else wants to add, or before we move on to the non-spoiler section? Nada, zero. Wow, nothing. Okay.
Nah, man, I think that's something that I agree with everything you said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know how much you want us to add to history that happened. I kind of gave all the facts.
Listen, there's nothing
to make it up.
There's nothing wrong with some more input, Seamus. Come on. But yeah, no, I mean, hopefully, what's up?
If you want me to say anything, I think that he is a fun filmmaker, but by and large, a lot of his stuff works completely fine as fan films, but not as actual projects. You know what I mean? The Punisher one works fine as a fan film because you're like, it's a fan film. That was fun. But if that was an actual full-length thing, I'd be like, oh, I don't know. No, thanks. And I think that's by and large a lot of his work, barring like Castlevania.
All right, fair.
Yeah, I mean, my thing with Adi Shankar is that he definitely has like a passion for the stuff he's done. You could tell from his work that he cares about the IPs, which you don't often see in a lot of people who do specifically adaptations. So I'm a big fan of that, and I was excited when he first announced that he was going to be taking on DMC. So yeah, I think that's enough of a preface before we get into our spoiler-free review.
All right, so without further ado, so Roun, Seamus, first impressions. What are your first impressions of the series going into it? And we'll let Roun go first since he's our guest.
Roun goes first.
Yeah, man. So my opinions on this show, I think it's a really solid show. But if you are specifically a fan of the DMC games, the story, so that's my main critique. If you're not familiar with the games, if you've not played DMC, I think you will have a pretty fun time. I think you'll get a good feel for like what DMC is about with some caveats. You'll get a pretty good idea of who the characters are. Even if you were to play a DMC game after watching this, you will realize that it's a very different, and in terms of the themes, DMC game stories are quite character driven. They're really about the cast, and it's decent, but that's not the point. The point is you're learning about, in DMC 1, you're learning about Dante, his past, and his motivations. In DMC 3, you're learning about Dante, you're learning about Lady, you're learning about Vergil, and its means, what it means to be human, what it means to be a demon. DMC 4 is about what it means to be a son of Sparta. And then DMC 5 kind of like ties everything up, but it's always about the characters. You don't learn a ton about the DMC world from about what motivates each individual character and why they are who they are. In the Netflix anime, you learn a lot about the world that it takes place in, what the internal politics are, the way that these individuals fit into their world, and the way that affect the people around them. So it's much more of a story rather than a character-driven story. So if you're coming, that's going to be jarring. You'll be like, what is this politics in a Devil May Cry story? that's pretty weird. So that's kind of be like, wait, what?
Yeah.
But I think overall he did a really good job setting at times at the expense of having a really enjoyable show. But like I said, overall, I thought it was pretty decent, not amazing by any stretch of the imagination. I thought it was decent, and I think that the next season will make or break it. It will determine whether or not this is genuinely a good series or if he.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Also, Roun, your audio it went back to watery again. But it's still fine. We still heard you, so your opinion was addressed. Seamus, what do you think? What non-spoilery? It's non-spoilery.
Non-spoilery. I think this show, as a fan of Devil May Cry, this show's frustrating, and from a non-fan point of view, this show was all right. I think, speaking from a fan point of view, I think the show is wholly frustrating because you have so much to work with, and you already have so much that is already there for you to use. And I do not understand what the point is of not using any of that and trying to add your own self-indulgent takes on stuff that isn't really necessary and was never really needed. You know what I mean? Because I don't really care about all this world building for Devil May Cry because it's a lot like the John Wick world building. It's not really there for or like a larger story. It's there to drive the plot. It's a plot device. You know what I mean? Like Dante being a devil hunter and owning Devil May Cry. Like you don't ever really understand how the business operations of Devil May Cry work because you don't really need to. You know what I mean? It's just like, oh, demons are attacking. It's Dante's job to stop it. That's all you need to know. And I think that's partly why this, as a fan, the series frustrated me because it tries to flesh out so many aspects that are totally unneeded for this. You know what I mean? For the world of Devil May Cry, of just like explaining more about demons and explaining more about everything. Like I feel like I got everything I needed to know in the games with what they gave me, whatever little they gave me, because most of the focus was on the actual characters. It was on Dante's character arc. It was on Vergil's character arc. You know what I mean? And that's the interesting stuff. And how they play off each other and their relationship to their dad and shit like that. And then you introduce each game with like Lady's character arc and Trish and all those characters coming in. And then slowly you start building this really cool narrative of all these characters who are like figuring out what it means to be like part demon and part human and shit like that. And I think Adi went a route that was confusing because he seems to forego all that to try to tell his own mangled version of like a prequel, which to me partly works and partly, and for the most part, doesn't, because like he's throwing in stuff from other games for no good reason that I just felt was like, you're not really, it doesn't really feel like you're building anything there. You're just showing me like Agni and Ruda, even though they don't show up until DMC 3, like they're just there now, or Lucia's there now, and I'm like, she doesn't show up till DMC 2. What is she doing here? And he never cares to like give an explanation for why any of these characters are there. It's more of just like look, it's the characters you like. I'm not gonna do anything with them, and I'm not gonna do anything interesting. I'm just gonna show you them so you know I'm a fan, guys. I am a fan. Did you know that? I'm also a fan. And it gets to the point where you're like, I believe you. Like, I don't believe you're actually a fan with how much you're trying to let me know you're a fan. Because if you were a fan, you would have just made a good DMC show. Not like this weird, like, but because it feels very much like, he reminds me a lot of Zack Snyder. He reminds me a lot of Zack Snyder as a creator. In the sense that he is someone who seems very talented, but they need desperately someone to rein them in, to get good ideas out of them. Because when they are left to go to their own devices, it very much feels like they will do whatever they want, and that's not really a good thing. You know what I mean? Because like this feels like a very self-indulgent show with all the personal music choices, all of the story making decisions, and I think from a fan point of view, it's just a very, very weird show to watch because it's like the DMC reboot where you're watching someone else's very misunderstood interpretation of a thing that is very surface level and easy to understand. And you're just confused as to how you could mess that up that bad, you know? Like, we'll get into it later with characters and all that other nitty gritty shit. But I think if you're a fan, you're going to be somewhat frustrated. Even at the base level, even if you like it a lot, there's still going to be something in here that you're going to be like, that didn't really, But if you're not a fan, you're probably going to watch it and be like, I had fun with it, and then move on with your day. You know what I mean? Like, it's like the first season of Castlevania, where it's like, you're probably going to have fun with it, but it's not like going to blow you away yet. And I think that's what, you know, Roun was talking about with season 2, like I understand that needing to wait for a season 2, that totally makes sense because he season 2 of Castlevania was really where I would started popping off, so I don't know. We'll see what's going on with that, but not a good start for me.
All right. Real quick, before I say my piece, let me do the comments real quick. Gabriel says that I think even with Castlevania, you can kind of see that he needs 2 seasons each time to really land things. Which I think we can all agree on that. Also, he's saying that he agreed with Roan's point, saying needing a second season, like his other stuff, it's like he needs 2 season bundles to really make something good. Yeah.
Here's the thing, like at this point, like if all of his shows need 2 seasons to get good, why doesn't he just start making the first season good? Like if we're at the point where he needs 2 seasons, at this point, like I feel like you could just go, okay, everyone says I need 2 seasons to make shit good. So what if I just wrote 2 seasons and then condense it into one and release that? Like it's just shit that it's like, okay, people have said that for years now. Maybe like try something new. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe you have to wait to see all the feedback and be like, oh, I already screwed up on this one, so let me change this real quick.
Yeah. True.
Yeah. We don't know.
All right. So I'll say my piece. I feel like as for non-DMC fans, I feel like they are gonna have a better time with this show than people who are familiar with the game.
Absolutely.
With the universe. I have a friend right now who she's watching it, and she's never played the game and doesn't know anything about DMC. So I'm curious to see what she thinks about it when she finishes it. For the most part, I liked it. I enjoyed it. However, it's a completely different,
It's
a 180 to where you think, Seamus. I liked it. But at the same time, yeah, like he's pissed at me right now. Like
I'm not pissed. It was just funny the way you sounded like you were in pain saying you liked it. Like you were like, I liked it.
But yeah, nah. It's I enjoyed it. I thought, me and Roun did talk about this a lot when we had that combo. I wasn't used to the whole world building aspect that he was going with the narrative. I'm used to it being character driven, and I don't really think it's cool that he's trying these new things and trying to maybe broaden like the world, make it feel more fleshed out. Thought it was weird though, like going into it, like I was like, I could see what you're doing, but I'm like, I'm not used to DMC going this direction narratively. There are definitely things in here, like we'll talk about it when we go into the spoiler section, that I was like, why did you put this in here? Like I see what you're doing, but no, there was no need for this. I mean, respect you for making that statement. I didn't think it needed to be in here.
You know what? Real quick, he reminds me of every thing that he puts out. It constantly reminds me that he is a big budget producer at heart, because just like Avi Arad and all those other producers, he constantly feels the need to put his own mark on it instead of just adapting it faithfully. And this whole season feels like he's putting his own mark on Devil May Cry, and you're like, it's too much, dude. You don't need to be doing all this.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how it feels.
Yeah.
I can see that, but I mean there were. But I do agree that we need a season 2. I feel like he's gonna be more comfortable like getting it right in season 2, again, like with Castlevania and all that stuff. Like I feel like we need a season 2 just to be like like take that, like this show has potential and run with it. Like don't squander. Like I'm really hoping he doesn't squander it.
That's the thing. Season 2, sure, but like. Are we even ever going to get DMC 3? Because it took him like 3 or 4 seasons to get to fucking Castlevania Rondo of Blood and start adapting that. Like the first game he adapted was 3 seasons in. So does that mean I'm going to have to sit there like...
There's no way he's doing DMC 3 in season 2.
Yeah, no.
That's absolutely not happening.
For him to like do his own thing for 3 seasons, and then by the time DMC 3 starts, all the characters are already in entirely different places. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like Vergil, all right, we'll wait to talk about spoilers, but like I almost spoiler.
I'll say to close it off. If I didn't, I feel like I would have been more pissed off if he just said no, I'm doing DMC verbatim. But before the show came out, he did say that, and Roun reminded me that he did say this was his own universe. and that he is gonna start playing around with continuity and all that stuff. So I was like, yeah.
He did not. He did not say that. He sent out a tweet. The tweet said, no, Roun, hold on. I just read this tweet in preparation for this stream. He said that Castlevania was a part of his bootleg universe, which is a full remixing, and that Devil May Cry was a part of Adi Shankar Animation, which is a very faithful adaptation that is straightforward. I just read this tweet. I swear to God. I just read this tweet where he said that.
He was very clear that this is not canon to the games. So he was quite clear that like this story that he's telling is not going to be in the same universe as the game universe.
I understand that. I totally whether or not it's canon doesn't matter to me. What matters is that it's not good. like he's like, oh cool, because I see everyone on TikTok saying it's not canon. I'm like, okay, I know it's not canon, but like this still isn't like the characters. Like you can say it would be like if I said, oh, my Batman adaptation's not canon. That's why he's like gutting dudes with a knife, and you're like, okay, but like, why even do Batman at that point if your non-canon version's going to be so different? Like, you know what I mean? It's just that's the issue I have, is he came out and said, don't worry, guys, this is going to be a straightforward adaptation, and then completely did an even more out there adaptation than he did with Castlevania, which was supposed to be his out there adaptation. So I don't understand what he's talking about anymore, and I'm not listening to him at all. I'm not following him on Twitter anymore because he's just going to bullshit me, I think. He's going to lie.
And shout out to Greek, because they're just like, he was clearly lying.
Like, he was clearly bullshitting me, and you know, I thought I could trust him because every time he did say something before this production cycle, he was telling the truth, and I was like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, fool me once, man.
but yeah, well, I feel like I'll have more to say when we get to the spoiler section.
Yeah, when we get into spoilers, like I have very specific things to highlight. Yeah.
Yeah, Shaman wrote like a Bible worth of notes. He told me this yesterday. Like,
yeah.
He was like,
I don't have a Bible. I said 2 pages. I got 2 pages of bullet points. Okay.
Seamus, I was being dramatic for entertainment's sake.
No, dude, you're lying on my name is what you're doing, and I don't appreciate that.
He's already been hurt by Adi Shankar. He will not allow it.
Yeah,
I need to be punctual. He might be watching this. I need to be punctual with my criticism, so that way he knows what to do next season.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So Ro, before we so story with that. So when I posted that we're doing the stream today, like on my story, I tagged Adi Shankar, and then Adi Shankar saw it like while he was on live, like I was wrong last night. So I'm literally just like, Seamus, listen, like I know you're fuming, but like listen, let's be professional here.
He is logged in right now. He's lurking on one of his like burner accounts, and he's taking notes. So
yeah,
gotta be succinct.
Yes.
You better be, man. You better.
But but all right, guys. So now we're gonna get in the spoiler section again. If you haven't watched this, I mean, for people who will watch this later on, you haven't finished the finished the season, please leave, get out, watch that, and then come right back. I'll put a little warning on here in a second. All right, so we are gonna go into spoiler territory, and 3, 2, 1. All right, now we're in spoilers now. All right, so now we can get into it. So, real quick, I think this real quick comment, real quick. It's just like Kree saying there's a lot of faithfulness in terms of him trying to mix together all different versions, including the one that everyone dislikes. LOL. So that's funny.
I think that's unforgivable. Even trying to attempt to mix in the one everyone doesn't like, to be like, look, it's all there. If I was adapting it, I would have been like, no. God bless those people who made that game, but I'm not touching that. I'm not doing that.
Even Capcom tries to pretend that doesn't exist, bro.
Yeah, and as they should. God bless Ninja Theory. They're making great games with Hellblade, but like, they don't need to remember that.
Nah. Also, Moses saying that I was like, Moses, like, I haven't watched a single episode. Spoil away. All right, Moses, you got it. You got it. So real quick, we'll go through the what we like section. All right, and I'm gonna start it off.
I actually have bullet points for this section. Isn't that crazy?
Okay. That is crazy. I was expecting you having, nothing. But real quick, so let me start it off, right? So I wanted to say, one of the things I did really like with this show, I mean, obviously I feel like most of us can agree on this, is I thought Studio Mir killed it with the animation, as they always do. Like, I thought Studio Mir did a really good job with the character designs, with even bringing the DMC demon bosses and stuff to life. I thought was great. The action I thought was well animated. So I thought Studio Mir, again, because I've been a fan of Studio Mir since like Legend of Korra, and I loved like the Witcher movie that they did. I thought that was really great. So yeah, I thought the animation was good. So what are your thoughts on the animation so far, guys?
It's good. That was one of the bullet points I had. Like you're hard pressed to find a bad animated Studio Mir project, because they usually do very good work, and this is none the different. It's very well animated. It's very solid. Those action scenes were very well animated and very well choreographed.
Yeah, agreed entirely. I could have done with a bit more over the top action, but again, this is a very young Dante. This is pre DMC3. He's pre Devil Trigger. So I think for what it is, it was very good. I like the art. I like the animation. I like the character designs. I know Lady is very divisive. For having like
we will get to that, bro. Suit. We're gonna get to that.
But I like the way they designed her. I like how she fought. I think it made some things I have issues with that we'll get later on into the thing, but it made her fights with Dante more believable. Yeah, I think it was overall very, very solid.
Yeah. Is this a note with the design, like especially with Dante? I personally love the hair in this more than I like it in. I don't really like the bowl cut in DMC3. So I like this hairstyle better for Dante.
He doesn't have a bowl cut in DMC3.
Bro.
He's got like a wolf cut kind of going on in DMC3. Come on.
Still a little wax.
You're slandering my boy. You're making him sound like he had that Justin Bieber 2011 cut. He did not, okay? He did not have that shit, okay?
Oh, man. But that's true. I might be gassing, but I do love the design a lot for Dante in this. I think when I told Roun, I think I told you, Seamus, I'm working on like a Dante Bayonetta crossover piece. I'm gonna use this design because I love the design a lot. Yeah,
that's the fucking.
It's a nice cross between his. It's a nice cross between his DMC3 and his DMC5 looks. I think it's pretty good.
Yeah. It's a good design. It's a solid design. We should have gotten instead of, if Adi Shankar wanted to do something wholly original, he should have just done Bayonetta DMC, a crossover show. And just done like an 8-episode anime of Bayonetta, and then that could be his entirely own thing that we'd all be like, he's not adapting anything, he's just having fun. You know what I mean? But instead we had to get this shit.
Yeah.
Anyway, the stuff we like.
I'll beat him to death with my wallet, bro. That is.
Oh, yeah, I would cry. I would actually genuinely be in tears.
Today I saw fucking Ruben Langdon tweeting about how he was like, yeah, I've been desperately trying to get. I've been asking Capcom if they could make Bayonetta and DMC and just work with. You know, I was like, you should totally fucking do that.
You have to.
Look, bro, they are in bed with Nintendo now, and they have Hideki Kamiya back on staff while you're like running it. Make it happen.
Now we're gonna spend like 15 minutes going like.
I know.
Damn it.
It would shake me to my core if they announced DMC Bayonetta, bro.
I would cry.
But real quick, to just backtrack on the comments, Chris say episode 6 animation shift had me good the whole time. Yep.
We'll get there. I want to talk about episode 6 because we'll get there. Because episode 6 I do want to talk about.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm gonna try to go through all these comments, but and sparingly. But the next thing I want to talk about real quick that I thought I liked a lot is I thought the soundtrack was pretty nice. I'm not gonna lie, I thought the soundtrack was pretty nice. I mean, again, me and Ro were talking about it, like seeing Dante beat the shit out of dudes to Rage Against the Machine, bro. I was like, this is fire. Like that was such a part. That was a hard moment in the show. It was one of my favorite moments in the show.
That was peak.
See, okay, half of this soundtrack I think I like, and then the other half I think is entirely too self-indulgent. I don't think we needed a remixed version of Devil Trigger. I don't think we needed a remixed version of Bury the Light or Ghost. I don't think we needed a Butterfly in there. Rage Against the Machine was fine. I would not have picked Rollin' if I were picking a Limp Bizkit song to have this too. I would not pick Rollin'. I just think of The Undertaker when I hear that song. It's too entrenched. And I was like, maybe Adi Shankar doesn't know, but the fucker was at Raw, so of course he knows. And he should have known that everyone just thinks of Undertaker on his goddamn motorcycle when they hear Rollin'. I like the original Evanescence song. I do like that one. I do like that one a lot. And I do like
yeah.
I like the remix version of Devil's Never Cry as the end credit scene. I thought that was good. That blacked out one right there, I'm gonna have a whole talk about that one after on its own, because that is entirely it's part of its own thing that I am Anyway, the half the music was good. The other half I was like, just play the original songs. Devil Trigger's right there, dude. You don't need to have a remix version of it or bury the light.
Granted, when Devil Trigger, when I saw like that Devil Trigger was on there, I was like, shit, like, because again, like I associate Devil Trigger with Nero because of 5. But then I saw it was a remix.
It's
so I was
his
like,
fucking theme, Mikey. That's why.
Yeah,
I know.
It's
for Nero.
I know. I think it's like,
right?
The thing is like, it said it was a remix, so I was like, let me hear it. And then when I heard, I was like, this is for what they were trying to do in that moment with the remix. I was like, it's fine. Like, I'm not mad at it. But like when Nero comes through, do the authentic Devil Trigger for his entrance or whatever. Like, you have to. Like,
I just don't understand, why didn't they use Devil's Never Cry, the original version, for when Dante uses his Devil Trigger? And also, why the fuck did they have like some disembodied voice telling him, they're like, Dante, you need to pull your Devil Trigger? It's like, no one says that. That's just the lyrics of the fucking song. That'd be like if Goku was fighting Nappa and he heard the voice of Bardock going, you need to be the legendary Super Saiyan. It'd be like, what the fuck is this? This is stupid. Doing like, yeah, he's got like, you don't need to tell him to go Super Saiyan. He's gonna fight so hard he just does it. And the same thing should happen to Dante. That whole airplane episode, I was like, this fucking blows, dude. It was like my least favorite episode because it was just like every bad thing that I didn't like about the series was all pent up into one single episode, and I was just like, oh, this is such a tough watch, dude. But it's just the music could use with like some at least original soundtracks from the game that already sound cool enough on their own, instead of having to do these like, well, it's a remix version because we don't want to pay for the rights to the original. And it's like, well, what the fuck are you making a show then if you don't want to pay for the rights?
And that's ridiculous, because I don't know if you follow this stuff, but there was this big controversy on a bunch of streaming platforms where the original versions of Devil Trigger, Bury the Light, and I think Silver Bullet got taken down.
Yeah.
I think it was some kind of hacking thing. So like fans are craving these original songs. So then to have them replaced by covers essentially in the official DMC anime was pretty stinging. So yeah, I wasn't happy with that at all.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So that was a big deal. So that's what I was saying, that the soundtrack was pretty hit or miss. Certain songs like that, Rage Against the Machine was sick. The Green Day song, we have thoughts on that.
We'll talk about that.
But so some stuff was like spot on, but then other things we could have done without. I
just loved how 2003 it like that first half of that like soundtrack in the first half of the season was, and I was like, I like this. But it's like everything else in the show. It is a fake fan of 2003's idea of what 2003 music is. You know what I mean? It's like, look, we got Last Resort. Oh, look, we got Rollin' by Limp Bizkit, and they never actually want to do any deep cuts of any like really, really underground nu metal bands to let people know they're like, I genuinely love nu metal. It's some dude who's like, this is what people who like nu metal like, right? And it's all just like the big hits. You know what I mean? It'd be like if I was like making a rock, like a 70s rock themed like soundtrack, and I only was throwing out Led Zeppelin and Rolling Stones, and it's like, oh, you couldn't have put in the Who in there? You couldn't have put in like a little bit of like some like King Crimson or some shit in there? You know what I mean? And it's like, that's how this soundtrack feels to me. As cool as it is, as good as half the songs are, it does still feel like it's like,
Do you really know new metal though? Are you really a new metal fan, Adi Shankar? Or did you just Google new metal songs and then put the soundtrack on?
And Gabriel in the comments earlier, he was saying like the soundtrack was designed for people who were in their teens playing DMC on their PS2s as each game released, which I kind of got those vibes. But I also see your point.
Where it's
vibes,
like, yeah,
we're like, you know, but I also get your point where it's like they could have done some like real deep cuts, like, yeah, no, we love like, you know, 2000s metal, new metal.
They could have put the Limp Bizkit song that Fred Durst did with Method Man. Okay, yes. They could have been cool like that. They could have played it together now.
And I told you that is the only Limp Bizkit song I respect because it's Method. It has
so
Method.
Good. No reason, because Method Man is so good.
Oh man, but yeah, just to, so I think that's what I'm gonna start off with the what we like portion is Roun, do you wanna, again, because you're our guest, do you wanna talk about what anything else you liked in Devil May Cry?
Yeah. So I liked how they really did. They made a solid attempt at bringing Dante from like the wacky Woo Pizza Man into a more grounded character that the average person could vibe with. I feel like a big draw of Dante in the games is that you're playing as Dante. So even though he's a bit like, he's quite campy and he's a bit zany, because you're playing him, it's fine because you're doing sick combos. It looks sick, you feel sick, so him being silly is quite fine. I don't think that translates as well onto the screen if you're just watching him and you're not part of the action. So I think they did a really solid job of humanizing Dante, as silly as that sounds, and making him quite a genuinely likable character. So I thought that was quite solid. I also liked the way that they, so like I kind of disagree with something that Seamus said, even though I understand why he said it. So one of the major issues with the show is that they tried too hard to tell a narrative, and as a Capcom fanboy, I am acutely aware of the fact that Capcom does not believe in telling full narratives. They'll kind of like give you little pieces of lore, and then they'll let the fans fill in their own headcanons. So I genuinely love the fact that they were trying to tell a complete story rather than going like the full Capcom route of just putting stuff out there, having sick action scenes, and then like you fill in the blanks yourself. So yeah, I quite like that. I mean, even for what it is, even for my issue with it, I quite like the fact that they genuinely tried to tell a real narrative. I think there's a lot of stuff you could do with DMC. DMC is kind of like these Souls games, Souls and Elden Ring, where there's so many pockets of world building that if you take them and you put them all together, you can create a genuinely like immersive world. And I like that he started to try to do that in this season. That's why I keep saying season 2 is going to make or break this.
Okay.
Yeah, if there's no season 2, we're going to be embarrassed. Like, hoping the next season's good.
If this is it, we find Adi Shankar, we kidnap him.
Yeah, we find Adi Shankar, kidnap him.
Listen, I'm not opposed to them implementing a narrative in a Devil May Cry show, because they did it with the original anime and it kind of worked. I just have an issue with how Adi Shankar approached it, because I think there are definitely already pieces of the games that you could blow up into their own narrative. Like I was talking with Mikey before, I was like, why instead of the focus being on the American government and the United States making this weird little devil hunter force and all that bullshit, I think it would have been cooler if it was more focused on the Order of the Sword and fleshing out the entire Order of the Sword in Fortuna City, because I just replayed all the games. 4 was the last one I did, and I was playing through 4, and the whole time I was playing through 4, I was like, I really like the character development in this, but I really kind of want to know what's going on with Fortuna City. There's an entire city that is built on the religion of these guys worshiping demons. Like, I feel like that would be a very easy start if you want to start fleshing out the world of Devil May Cry, by having the first season kind of focus on the Order of the Sword, and maybe just weave the Order of the Sword into like other Devil May Cry games. Like you could just say like Arkham was like a follower of the Order of the Sword or something like that. You know, I mean, interesting changes like that could connect stuff and flesh it out more. But like I said earlier, it felt less like he actually wanted to tell a narrative and more like he wanted to tell his own mark of the Devil May Cry series of like, no, but it has to be the American government for what it says. And it's like, okay, but I think you should start with like a solid narrative first and then start trying to implement themes. You know? And I, as much as I could appreciate him attempting that, I just think the way that he went about it was a little misguided, in my opinion. But like, I don't disagree with them adding like a story because, like, as much as I like the John Wick movies, if you're doing a show, you kind of do need a narrative. You know what I mean? But, is it? I guess can I mention episode 6 now? Is that legal?
What did you like, Seamus? Give us your notes.
I did. We talked about episode 6 earlier. I did like episode 6 a lot because
one of my favorite episodes.
Crazy. The one with no dialogue was my favorite, but it was. I just think it's that was more inspired than anything else in the show because I think making an entire episode that delves into backstory themed around a 2000s AMV that you'd find on YouTube was like, I was like, that's genius. That totally fits with the time. That totally just the whole thing, like less about what it was even saying in the story it was telling, just like the method of telling it was just so interesting. And I was like, this is easily like the coolest thing this season. And I don't understand why that creativity wasn't extended to the rest of the episodes, because it feels like they kind of focused all their creative output on that, and then the rest of the show was kind of like we'll just fix it later, you know. And then all of a sudden it came out and you're like, well,
they have to do social commentary. They didn't have time to be creative. They
have to be creative.
I'm getting to that in my dislikes. I have a lot to say about that, but before I want to say I did like White Rabbit. Even though they changed him from the manga. I did enjoy his changes somewhat. I did think it was interesting. I enjoyed. Let me go through my list. I enjoyed seeing Enzo. I like because little Bayonetta reference never hurt anyone. I enjoyed the Street Fighter and the Raccoon City name drop. I thought that was fun. I think for the most part, the voice acting was pretty solid. I still don't know how I feel about Johnny Young Bosch's Nero. See, I'm fucking it up. That's why I don't like it. I don't know how I feel about him as Dante because he is Nero to me, as you can tell.
He did a good job.
But I don't know if they're gonna go anywhere with that. So I'm gonna wait to like fully bitch about that because like in season 2 they could do a thing where he switches and like they're trying to portray young Dante as Nero. Sure. I don't know about that yet, though. If he's gonna be Nero Dante the whole time and Nero later, I'm gonna be like, "What are we doing here?" I think the only way you could save it if he's Dante the whole time is make Ruben Langdon voice Nero. I think that would be really.
That would be hilarious and terrible.
That'd be great. Okay. I'm gonna put this here because this is in between like and dislike. I don't know how I feel about Vergil working for Mundus willingly and his devil trigger being Nello Angelo. I don't know how I feel about that. That just feels weird and out of place for Vergil's character. But that's also one of those things where I'm like, I know he doesn't know that his dad's Sparta, so maybe they could be doing something interesting with that. I just don't know where that's going to go, and I'm kind of scared based off what I've seen in this season, how that's going to be handled next season, but it could turn out to be cool, maybe. I just don't get it. Why?
I think that can work, to be honest.
See, here's the thing. I agree. It could work if they had a stronger writer, but the writing this season has not put faith that they would be able to do it correctly or in a cool way that I'd be like, yes, that fits, Because I agree with
that's entirely fair. I think that fits Vergil's character really well because Vergil is there are like 3 things that define Vergil. 1, he's like absolutely scarred from what happened in his childhood. 2, and this stems from 1, he's absolutely obsessed with power. And 3, this also stems from 1, he has a ton of like self-loathing. So Vergil doesn't stop hating himself until DMC 5. So I think if you write it correctly, you can have a really compelling Vergil who is loyal to Mundus, because he hates himself and doesn't like how weak he was when his family was destroyed, essentially. And that can lead to the growth of the Vergil that we know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very doable, but you need someone who has sense to write it.
Exactly. That's exactly the thought process I was having with it. Is I was like, I could see a path forward where that could be cool, as long as you have a moment where when he does find out his dad was Sparta, he then turns on Mundus like immediately. Because I think while all those aspects are central to Vergil's character is also centered around himself having the most amount of power, so that way no one can fuck with him and no one can hurt him again. You know what I mean? And I think him being under Mundus is a interesting aspect if they make it that Vergil is not fully like loyal to Mundus, and that he is using Mundus as an avenue to power.
Yeah,
I think that would be
that's it. Even though I was gonna save this for the Vergil at the end, but it's whatever. I honestly really, because with Vergil is that, like, I was talking to Roun about this, like, those three things Roun mentions are like, yeah, these are the only things that I've seen of Vergil throughout his entire
personality.
And like, it was his introduction was like, it was iffy, and I feel like him being Nilo Angelo now and using, I feel like I really hope that he's using Mundus as a means to an end to get that, that ultimate power. Like, obviously, I feel like if it would be boss's shit if Vergil just betrayed him and then like he takes over. Like, I really hope that like he's just using Mundus to meet that ultimate goal, which is get absolute power, so no one can hurt him again. Like, I think that'd be great. That would be a great arc for him to take.
I think it just, I personally don't like them using Nello Angelo as his Devil Trigger form for now, because I get what they're saying, that whenever Vergil is working for Mundus, he is Nello Angelo. But I think that just ruins because the whole twist with Nello Angelo was like perfectly done in the first game. We're like, you know what I mean? Like you don't know that you're fighting Vergil until like the very end when Dante realizes that he's fighting like the enslaved version of his brother, and you're like, holy shit. And that moment hits really hard, and I think outright spoiling that just to try to get some brownie points with the DMC fans by going, look, I know that Nello Angelo's Vergil is a little weak for me, and it doesn't really hit, because it's like, it feels less like you're trying to actually like say something about Vergil being Nello Angelo and how that changes his character, and more that you're just trying to show me like Nello Angelo and be like, there he is.
I feel like it would have been a cool idea later on if, say, we didn't see when Nello Angelo was at the end of the season, and then we got to reveal like halfway through season 2 that it was Vergil, once like he fights him and frees him and all that stuff, like how it is in DMC 1. That would have been a much better take. But yeah, I don't know. Sorry, Ron, I'll cut you off.
So hot take. So hot take. I think having his Devil Trigger as Nilo Angelo is genuinely a deep cut. So if you play the DMC 3 Special Edition, where Vergil's unlockable, one of his costumes is Corrupted Vergil. And Corrupted Vergil's Devil Trigger is Nilo Angelo. So there's this distinction between like Vergil as his true self versus Vergil when he's enslaved by Mundus. Because in the games, unlike, well, we don't know how the anime is going to go, but based on what we're guessing, in the games, when Vergil is Nilo Angelo, he's like mentally enslaved. He's not himself. So he's not like acting of his own will. He's basically Mundus's like vassal, essentially. So he's literally under mind control, essentially. So his Devil Trigger reflects that. His Devil Trigger is an Angelo, which is like a class of demon that Mundus creates to do specific things. So you'll see other Angelos show up in DMC 5, for example. They're just like a class of demon that Mundus will deploy. So I think having him be an Angelo specifically in his Devil Trigger while he's subservient to Mundus, regardless of what his motives are, would be really good if, like Seamus said, when he finds out that he's the son of Sparta, or when he rebels, his Devil Trigger shifts to become a true Devil Trigger. So, and we're easing into bits that I don't like. But one of the things I didn't like is I didn't like so much about the episode where Dante unlocks Devil Trigger. But one of the biggest things I didn't like is that his Devil Trigger, when he first unlocks it, is basically his DMC 4/5 Devil Trigger.
Yeah, that's what I thought, the same thing.
Yeah.
It's a very mature Devil Trigger. Vergil, Dante and Vergil's first devil triggers, the ones that they have in DMC3, they're very insectoid. They resemble Sparta because they're basically like drawing on their lineage to bring out their power. And then as they grow up and their devil triggers mature, they become more draconic, which is like their own identity. So the transition from an Angelo to an insectoid deep devil trigger to then a draconic devil trigger chronicles Vergil's maturity from being a slave to being his own person. I guess it's kind of reversed. But his own person to then becoming like the ultimate version of himself when he like fixes his self-loathing, gets the power, forgives himself for failing as a child, and like, you know, accepts who he is. So that's the path we need to see. They can't just go from I'm Neil Angelo working for Mundus, I'm Sparta's boy, I'm a dragon. They need to chronicle that growth, or it's going to be very, very unimpactful.
Yeah, and like even considering how it factors into 3, because I think that the character arc that he goes through, including 3, is more interesting than I think a lot of people realize. Just given how Vergil tries to after 3, he tries to fight Mundus on his own and 1v1 him because he's like, I'm him. I'm him at the I can do it. And then he gets completely he gets clapped, he gets enslaved, and then once he's freed from being enslaved, like what's the first thing he does in 5? He tries to do it again, but on a bigger scale. And his entire family tackles him and is like, dude, we did this like years ago. You're not going to get fucking any kind of fulfillment from this. And that's, I think that the beauty of 5 is that all the characters kind of realize it's more Vergil's story than like Nero's, honestly, with 5, because like it's more about Vergil finding out that like the family that Dante had does not provide more weaknesses for Dante. It strengthens him more than having absolute power in Vergil's eyes. It's the motivation that Vergil keeps fucking talking about all the time in those lines he says. You know? And I think that being changed for this show kind of undercuts, it kind of puts a ceiling on Vergil's kind of character, because I think having him start out now and then slowly learn that and do all that, it's just in such a convoluted order at this point that it's kind of hard to do that simple story again in that kind of character development, because like now you have all this other stuff he has to contend with, like being Nello Angelo on like, you know, willingly, and like all that shit that just makes it so that way the base story of Vergil just learning that like it's okay for me to have a family again after I lost mine, you know, just completely a little washed, because now he has to deal with like the demonic refugees, and Mundus is like kind of controlling him, and like who knows if they're even gonna do the same shit. So like it's all this stuff that's so up in the air that we have to wait till season 2 comes out with. But like as of now, as it stands in the show, it does make me feel a little like I do the little rock eyebrow at it, because I'm like, what are you doing there? Like I don't think you have the sauce to be able to juggle all this shit. But yeah, that's I'm glad we talked about this in the middle, because it is the one that I feel I don't hate, I don't dislike, but I'm also not sure.
I gotta get rid of the Vergil section at the end then, because we already did all the Vergil talk already. So
listen,
so
we like
I
Vergil,
wanna
Mikey.
Yeah, man, Vergil's the boy. So I want to quickly jump in and agree that I really like White Rabbit in this. I think he might be my favorite character for this season.
I love White Rabbit.
White Rabbit's arc is a Devil May Cry story, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
Because, like I keep saying, Devil May Cry stories are all about what makes you human. So the whole premise that even a devil can cry if they lose someone they love shows that like what makes you human isn't about whether or not you're actual human or a demon or half demon or whatever. It's about who you are as a person on the inside. So the fact that White Rabbit's entire arc is that humans did him dirty. He banished himself to the demon world, found family, and like found his humanity. And then what made him a devil was humans being dicks to demons and like forcing him to embrace the darker aspects of his soul and really get hardcore and do shit that he was like fundamentally against, but that he believed was for the greater good. That is, in a nutshell, a Devil May Cry story. He's the most DMC character in this season. And I really think we could have done with more of that. less of the social commentary,
Yeah.
less of the
I was gonna say,
politics.
I think that kind of stuff works in the context of a single character, and I think having that kind of plot occur with a single character's character development works far better than extending it to the entire demon race as a whole. Because
Absolutely.
you were entirely right about DMC being about what makes you human. Because like I just played DMC 4 and when Dante is talking to what's his name, the scientist dude. I don't know why I'm blanking on his name, but he's talking to him after they do their little Shakespeare bit in the boss fight you fight him in, and he's like, I don't understand. I threw away everything that made me human to be like a demon. I don't get it. And then Dante's there like, dude, like
That's it.
Humans might be physically weak, but like they got a lot going for him. And then the guy's like, but what do I do? How do I become a true, how do I achieve that? And then Dante's like, dude, if you're asking me, you're fucked. And he just shoots him in the head anyway. And I was like, that's exactly what I want to cry is Dante's like, you don't realize that humanity has its own positives because it is much more than just physical strength that makes humanity great. You know what I mean? And and I think that's why it's interesting to have a character who almost has like an inverse a character development than Dante, where instead of realizing and embracing his humanity, he actually, pushes it away because it has only caused him pain. And he's kind of like a middle ground between Vergil and Dante, where instead of looking for like a absolute power, he's looking for people who also share in his ideals of hating humanity, and you know what I mean. And I think all that's interesting. And I don't know why they didn't have Alice in here. Because she was in the manga. They had Alice in the manga, and I was like, oh, and he was a very solid choice for a antagonist, and I think that it's the type of change that fleshes out the DMC world without doing too much, like the stuff we were talking about. You know what I mean? Like I get that you wanted to make more or do more world building and stuff like that, and I think that doing something like a White Rabbit is how you do it. That's how you do that, because you give a character a new dimension that adds more to the actual story and the world building, and I just really, really liked him, and so I hope I see more of him.
Yeah, I hope so too. I mean, I was gonna talk about it when we went to like his character in the breakdown, but I really love this voice actor a lot. What's his name? Hoon Lee. For people who don't know, Hoon Lee. You ever watch the show Warrior, which is like one of my favorite shows of all time? He was Chow. Yeah, Seamus. He was Chow in Warrior. I love his performance in this a lot. I thought it was so good. But yeah, we got two words out of my mouth in terms of White Rabbit. Like all what y'all said, I agree with. He was my favorite part of the whole show. I loved him a lot. All right, Seamus, you want? So should we do the what we didn't like section now? I think we've.
Please, I have lots.
Yeah,
I have lots to say.
I have lots to say.
All
yeah,
right,
we do.
So, I mean, again, if we have anything you like, you can just chime in and just say whatever. But, so what we didn't like, and I'm gonna start it off by saying, and then we already addressed this earlier, but I don't like that he used like all the most notable like bosses from the other games as like throw-ins. I couldn't stand that. Dude. I couldn't stand that because he was like. Because I was like, if you're gonna be doing a Devil May Cry, like if you're doing Devil May Cry, you're gonna go through like at least like go through all the games. Like, why go through? Like, why have Agni and the other twin? I always forget his name.
Rudra.
I know it's Rudra. Why would you do those first when they're like, especially when you're doing the manga and they don't even show up in the manga. They show up in like the DMC 3 game. I believe like the snake lady, that's in DMC 4.
Right.
Season 4.
That's what you get.
Then you got one of the like the Angelo Knight like in 5. I was like, what are you doing? Like
that's why Cavalier Angelo from 5.
Yeah, Cavalier Angelo. I was like, if you're trying to go through like the evolution of these characters and go through each game, then introduce these villains, these demons in each game. Don't just throw them all at once. Be like, hey guys, you know that one, we got it. Like no, like you gotta let it breathe. You know what I mean? Like. Because my thought was like, I know there's plenty of other demons and stuff in the other games besides these guys, but like, what else are you gonna do? Like, what, who are you gonna be your bosses within each season? Nah, I mean, it pissed me off so much. I was like, come on.
Yeah, it irked my soul so much because I'm like, why? Like, what? Like you said, what is the point other than making us like? It's literally, it feels like a Deadpool and Wolverine cameo where it's like just jingling keys in your face, going like, "Ah, you like that? Ah."
It's Adi Shankar telling you that he's a fan. He has the plasma from DMC 1. He skipped 2 because no one likes 2. Agni and Rudra from 3. Echidna's from 4. Cavalier Angelo's from 5. He's like, look, guys.
He didn't even skip 2. He didn't even skip 2 because Lucia is in the fucking show.
Lucia's in the thing. Yeah,
Lucia is in the
goddamn show. He fucking got.
But what he really needed to round out the cast of bosses was an infested chopper, and then we know he's a real fan. And he's in there.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh Jesus!
But yeah, it upset me. I was like, because I was like, what? Again, I know there's plenty more demons in the Devil May Cry games, but like you should have at least like introduced these bosses when they are, introduced, even if it's in your own continuity, like, like when they're supposed to, to show up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I was like, come on, like it's so like what are you gonna do?
My main grievance is that he killed them. So he introduced them and had them leave and come back. That's fine.
Yeah.
But he killed Agni and Rudra. He killed Echidna. He killed Cavalier Angelo.
Yeah.
Which means that you can't do any of those story beats.
And that's what I thought he was doing originally. Was like, okay, they're just gonna show up, start some shit, and he's gonna beat the crap out of them, and they're gonna escape and then come back like when they're supposed to. But then, and that would be a really cool way to like, in future seasons we still get surprised. But oh yeah, like we saw him earlier. Oh yeah, we saw her earlier. Like that would have been. I thought that would have been a much better route to take, but no, they're dead and they're not coming back. So it's like, what's the point? Like, why?
Yeah.
Why Adi Shankar?
Now he's not gonna get fucking Gilgamesh. He can't get Gilgamesh anymore. He can't get the Cavalier motorcycle. He can't get the fucking Firewind swords. God damn it! He got none of those fucking weapons.
And I thought he was gonna grab like the Agni and Roja's swords too. I thought he was gonna do that shit. Well, he did.
And use them. Yeah.
Well, he did kind of use them, but I thought he was gonna keep them. I was like, like come on, like. Oh, it was so frustrating.
He doesn't even have Ebony and Ivory in this show. It's just, what are we doing? God damn it.
No, he's not even met Nell yet.
Well, yeah, but I'll say like rewind.
You know what's stupid? Why not? Why not just set it after that and then just give him his fucking pistols so we can be like, yeah, here, cool.
And that's the thing with me too, with because I know like Roun saw like in our Xion chat like a lot of our friends that were pissed off about not having Ebony and Ivory. But like, did he have Ebony and Ivory in the manga? Because I didn't read the manga, so
no. He gets them right at the end.
No, he didn't. He hadn't had them yet. But it's just, you know what I mean. I think the like you said, it's just, and it extends to like I said, Lucia being on the Demon Hunter squad of just like, hey, here's this major character from one of the games. I'm not going to mention that she's here. I'm not going to do anything with this character. I'm just going to show you it so people can point it out and go, oh, I like that. Because it feels like a Deadpool and Wolverine like show where you're just like, you're not meant to actually like hope that any of these characters actually fit in with the story. It's someone doing their own thing and then hoping that all of the stuff that you see that you recognize makes you like it instead of actually focusing on the story. You know what I mean? And liking the story that they're telling. It's a frustrating way to try to build any kind of excitement.
And Gabriel kind of like hits it home where it's like, call this MCU syndrome. So many antagonists squandered like that.
Exactly. Like what? You're just like you're feeding these guys like they're jobbers. These guys fucking kicked my ass when I was 8. You can at least make them seem powerful.
Yeah. This is the MCU killing off Ronan in one movie.
Yeah, it's. Yeah, but I'm gonna move on to my second point, and then I'll let y'all go crazy. I mean, you guys are. This is probably what most of your notes are gonna come in, but yeah, all the vice president, all the government, all the Darkcom shit. I was like, I don't like. It's just like, why is this here? Okay, well, first off, real quick,
absolutely unneeded.
Real quick, R.I.P. to Kevin Conroy because this was his last role, I think, right, as a vice president. So
Always.
sucks that it's in his, but listen, you know, he's the GOAT, he's a legend, so we gotta
Absolutely.
we gotta pay our respects. All right.
Listen, it's not even his voice acting was good too.
His voice acting was
absolutely.
His voice acting was good. So like, I have no issue with Kevin Conroy. God rest his soul. God bless him. He's a great voice actor.
And low-key, I kind of even though the all the commentary stuff was like I was pissed off about, but I loved how much of a fucking like Crystal fascist sycophant this man was. I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, I think he was a solid character. I don't want him in a DMC show.
I wouldn't even mind him in a DMC show. I would like him in a DMC show if he turned out to be like a crazy worshiper of the Order of the Sword. Like the vice president was actually secretly like a high priest of the Order of the Sword. And he was like, I love demons. I need to be a demon. I fucking love killing Palestinian children. I kill all the demons will come. You know what I mean? If he was that guy, it'd be great.
And again, that's what I thought they were doing when he was introduced. And I was like, and they didn't do that. So. But yeah, I thought.
But instead, he's like, no, we have to colonize hell. You know what I mean? And it's like
that was like eye roll.
Here's the thing: I'm a political science major. I got my degree in politics. Okay, I love One Piece. I love One Piece's discussions on colonial criticisms, racial structures. All these very big ideas. I think that these big ideas can be discussed in anything. And they can have their place. I just think they need to be done well in the context of the show and its world. And I think the way that this was presented in the context of the Devil May Cry world felt way too out of place, and it felt way too ham-fisted.
Yeah, it felt like it was really shoehorned.
Because it wasn't playing on any previously introduced aspects to the world. Like, I know I keep mentioning the Order of the Sword, but if you wanted to make it about the Order of the Sword wants to, like, you know, colonize hell or whatever, so that way, yeah, if you wanted to make it that, I might be a little more down with it, just because it's something that at least I'm a little more familiar with. But I think making their own organization and making their own entirely separate storyline that was specifically built to talk about the dangers of colonialism was it just felt way too ham-fisted. It felt way too shoehorned in. It didn't feel natural enough in the story itself. And I think playing American Idiot over those scenes was the dumbest thing I've seen in a movie since I saw Madam Web last year. It was the dumbest thing I've seen in anything. I watched Madam Web and I felt like I was like getting like brain blasted. Same feeling here. It was horrific.
I thought it was so fitting. Like that entire episode was so absurd that playing American Idiot over it. At least I believe that Adi Shankar was self-aware in how ridiculous this concept was. Like, if he didn't, I would be genuinely wondering if he had brain damage. But when he did that, I was like, okay, you know this is dumb. I'm glad that we are on the same page. You know this is extremely stupid. This is the most America, like, you know, just the most overt social commentary you could possibly have. Like, the dumbest member of your audience is going to know, I'm trying to tell you something about the world we live in. Listen up.
Yeah,
I told you I was laughing my ass off, right? Like, I was belly laughing when I saw that shit. Like when he started saying, I was mostly because I was like, wow, he's really going for it. Like, he's really trying to like sell this shit. I'm just like,
he is not subtle, bro.
Oh my god, it was like, I'm sorry, Seamus, I cut you off. That's what I wanted to say.
No, you're good. You're good. All I would say is if no, I don't think there's a route that you go down with that scene that you win. Because if you're tongue-in-cheek about it, then you're trying to be tongue-in-cheek and coy and play up to a idea of DMC that only exists outside of the show. That it's this cheesy, wacky, you know. And if you're playing into that, then you're playing into that kind of cheesy, wacky idea that doesn't really exist in the games, that is only built for the fandom outside of the show, and you're putting that kind of thing onto a very real and very topical issue that is affecting people right now. You know what I mean? Like, if you're being if you're doing a ham-fisted, it's over-the-top joke about like bombing refugees when like Israel is getting raised, right, or Israel's raising Palestine right now, then like that's kind of fucked up to do. And if you're trying to do an earnest political commentary on the American military industrial complex and its effects on the impoverished masses of people who are simply trying to live, then maybe don't go to the Trump inauguration and make an Instagram post saying that you thank President Donald Trump for the invite, because I don't really think that your political commentary is as effective when you're thanking the current president of the United States, who is trying to kill as many people as humanly possible. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I wouldn't do that. But what do I know?
Yeah,
it just, the whole thing just doesn't make sense. It doesn't fit. And in the context of anything that you can try to explain it as, it simply doesn't work in any way possible in this show. And it feels so out of place.
mm-hmm.
To build on what Seamus is saying.
I'm speaking as someone who loves One Piece. I love that shit in One Piece. It's some of the best parts about that fucking show. And it's just that in this show, it was totally ham-fisted. And it felt insulting a little bit, you know?
Yeah. And to build on what Seamus is saying, I think the big issue I have, one of the things I majorly did in this that I didn't like, was the fact that they really pressed the social commentary at the expense of like what DMC is. One of the biggest aspects of DMC the game is like how sick Dante is, how stylish he is, how powerful he is, how he faces enemies that will massacre people en masse, and he makes fun of them. Like he genuinely has a blast while fighting demons. This does not work if your demons are people.
Yeah. Because
you can't have you can't have like an oppressed race of people who are they're trying to escape a bad situation. They're invading Earth, but they're not invading Earth to be malicious. They're invading Earth to get away from someplace bad. They've been corrupted by someone who has an agenda. They've been turned into weapons. They were orphans, if you forget. So he took orphans, he experimented on them, he created all these weapons, and then he unleashed them on Dante. Watching Dante like fight them and style on them and beat them up and do cool shit isn't as enjoyable because they're not bad guys now. They're gray guys. They are guys who have been oppressed, who've had bad things done to them. So you can't just have Dante cut one of them in half and roll them up as balls around his fist and then punch people. That's insane.
Yeah.
It also discounts. I was gonna say it also discounts Sparta. Like now Sparta seems like kind of a dick for sealing half of these people who were just trying to escape, and he sealed them away forever. Because it works when Sparta's the only good demon who sees how horrific the demon kind is, because he got with Eva and he realized how beautiful mankind was and how beautiful their souls were, and he looks back at demon kind and he's like, holy shit, we're evil, dude. And he's the only one. He's the only one who realizes that demons are entirely evil because he has been awoken by the kindness of humanity and how great humanity is.
Yeah.
And him sealing away demon kind is a valiant act from him becoming more human and acting more human. That he, you know what I mean? Because after meeting Eva, he decides to be selfless and decides to sacrifice himself, which is a aspect that demon kind didn't even know existed before Sparta. You know what I mean? And I think making this change just discounts his sacrifice in his character arc entirely. And it's just like one of those things where it's like, now he's a gray character because he shouldn't be. Because the gray character should be Vergil, who's like stuck in between this legacy to his father and this desire to insulate himself from any kind of pain and the pain that inevitably causes to other people. And that's why Vergil, if anything, should be the gray villain of like, I understand where he's coming from, but he's still a prick, you know? And I think making every character this level of gray to do some kind of we're all monsters commentary is so stupid. And that's why the Devil May Cry games are arguably like way... the Devil May Cry games are just way more... they're kinder. And I think that's why... Like another thing that, real quick, is that I saw Gene Park make a tweet where he is also a Devil May Cry fan, and he played all the Devil May Cry games, and he watched it, and he made a very interesting tweet that I agreed with, where he said that this show feels mean-spirited. That the Devil May Cry games never felt mean. They felt fun, and they always felt like they were trying to do something that was both fun and a testament to the kindness of humanity, and how Dante's actions, as goofy and as kind of dickish as he could have been, inevitably led to the kindness that he showed, and he showed others. You know what I mean? And that's how he was able to turn Vergil. That's how he was able to help Lady, because through his actions and through his carefree nature, he showed them that being kind and being carefree comes naturally, and it can actually help you be stronger. And I think that changing all this to make some kind of gray area bullshit like that, where it's like, Sparta doesn't know that all those guys were good, or whatever you want to say to argue to try to justify it, it inevitably makes a weaker narrative. That no matter how you try to spin it, it's not going to be as strong as the games, because the games were fun and they never felt mean. And the only other DMC thing that felt mean was that fucking remake, because that remake felt like it was trying to be like, fuck you, yeah, fuck you, yeah, we're humanity and we're fucking evil and everyone's actually evil, and the only good guys are the guys who realize everything's evil and decide to kill everything. And you're like, what the fuck is that? I didn't like that. I didn't have fun with that. Whereas like DMC4 is like fucking just like Nero going like, I love my girlfriend. You know what I mean? And it's infinitely cooler because Nero's fucking revving his sword and doing flips going, I get to hold hands with my girlfriend one day. And he's way cooler than everyone else. You know what I mean? And it's just like,
absolutely.
It's one of those things that just hurts the narrative by everyone being like annoying and like evil, and like, because it's like that. I saw another tweet where someone posted that joke that they made in Left 4 Dead 2, where someone wrote on the wall like, actually humanity's the real monsters, not the zombies. And then there's 8 other writings that are like, you're a fucking idiot. No, they're not. The zombies are literally eating us alive. And it's literally how I feel about this, where it's like, no, the humans aren't the real monsters. I think the demons who are able to like summon firewalls and they're burning people alive are the evil people. I think they're the evil guys. And I don't think making a couple of them refugees and being like, no, we're just trying to live a free life doesn't make any sense, because like they're demons. Who taught them to be nice? Who taught them to be kind and want to live a free life? They were born in hell. What are we doing? You know? It's just that confusing aspect that it just makes no sense.
Yeah, I agree. It's terrible storytelling. It makes the entire story just objectively worse. It does not add anything. It doesn't add any value to the narrative.
Yeah, and I didn't think about this. Okay, to add on to your point, Seamus, with Sparta, I didn't even think about that. Where it's like, if Sparta like closed off the human world and the demon world because demons ain't shit, but then next humans ain't shit either. Then what's the point of that? It makes the sacrifice like less noble and less just. Like why?
Yeah. It makes him seem like a prick, and he's not supposed to be a prick. He's supposed to be the one good demon that you aspire to, and that Dante's like, yeah, I want to be like that guy, and Vergil's like, oh, he was weak, he had a family, and that caused him to die, and he hurt a lot. And then Vergil tries to be more like a demon and be more like Mundus, where he's like, I want power, motherfucker. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's what makes Vergil a villain. The fact that he tries to push his humanity away as much as possible. And that's what makes Dante a hero. The fact that he accepts new people into his life. He's carefree. He loves everyone. Even though he fucks with them and he acts like a dick to them a little bit, he's just having fun. And then they slowly realize, oh, he's just trying to joke around with me to get me to lighten up. Because that's Lady's whole arc, and I know we'll talk about Lady ad nauseum later. We have a lot. I know we all have a lot to say about Lady.
There's already a few comments. There's already a few comments.
In DMC3, he is such a jovial young man. He jokes so hard that Lady actually becomes happier as a person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That whole game is him going around to Lady going like, I'm just a silly guy. And he silly guys so hard that she's like, maybe I do love living again. And that's why it's so cool, and it's just all these like all these frustrating aspects that water down the storytelling that was already great in the games. And I think it shows that people underestimate the storytelling in those games, because there is a lot of very good character-driven storytelling that is done in those games in very short and very quick lines. That's also a thing I wanted to say, is that Dante talks too much in the show a little bit. In all the games that you play, Dante is the king of quick and straight to the point with his jokes. He says like they're all like a sentence long, they're all quick, and they're all like the goofiest thing he could say at that time. And it's like silly. But in this show, he kind of like is like a little too like, his jokes are like 5 sentences, and you're like, okay, dude, you could have just made that like the game Dante would have just said the ending punchline, and everyone would have been like, I love this man.
Yeah.
But that's just another thing where it just feels like you're doing too much. You don't need to be doing all this for season 1, because like Castlevania season 1 was only like 3 episodes, and it was mostly just like Trevor being drunk and going, "Fuck, I gotta do this shit, damn it," and then Dracula going like, "I'm gonna kiss this gun," and you're like, "Oh, when these guys meet, it's gonna be cool," and it was short, sweet, to the point. And but this show, the DMC show, they're doing way too much. It's all this bullshit. It's all this. You could have just had a show where it was just Dante's being cool and carefree, and Vergil's tweaking out over how much power he needs to fight Mundus. Ooh, when these guys meet, it's gonna be cool, and that's all you had to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right. Anything else? Anything before we go on the characters real quick? I think we have more stuff in terms of like characters and all that. Anything you want to say that you didn't like?
I didn't like the like Seamus said, I didn't like the playing episode. So one of the major things about the game is how devil triggers express like where each character is at their point in life. So in DMC3, Vergil goes on this like ridiculous, he orchestrates this big scene so that he can unlock Dante's devil trigger as part of like a greater plan. So when Dante awakens in DMC3, Dante's Awakening, it's monumental. It's like a life-changing event. Having him do that under pressure for the sake of saving the vice president and some fucking guys on a plane, it's a waste of like one of the most emotional moments in DMC storytelling. And it robs you of being able to do that later with the interaction between Dante and Vergil, because it in the games you're capturing how they both view their humanity versus their demon side, and you completely skipped over that in this season, and I absolutely hated it. I also hated the fact that, like you said, we introduced a bunch of like top tier villains, and then we proceeded to kill them off, and we at no point introduced devil arms. The introduction of devil arms was Dante cutting an orphan in half and then wrapping him around his arms and punching people. That is a waste of an interesting concept. The fact that demons' souls become weapons when they lose to a more positive they respect, completely wasted. So there is so much lore from the games that they just didn't bother to adapt. I'm not happy about it.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. Yeah, that plane sequence that devil trigger was fairly weak and had no like emotional impact at all. It was just like he had to get there to save these people and Enzo, because I mean I like Enzo, so I mean
Enzo was the closest thing we had to like an emotional trigger for his devil trigger.
And I was like that. I was like it would have been really cool if down near point. It would have been really cool to see like how they would interpret like like all like the demon souls after he fights them, like how the weapons would work. But again, they suck. They don't do that shit, and it's like come on.
I think what they should have done was, because he saved a bunch of people on the plane before he activated his DT. I think it would have been better if he just saved everyone without ever going into his devil trigger, and then he unlocked his devil trigger when Enzo died. That would have been
better.
A much
that would have
better
been cooler
use of his powers.
It's almost like it's like simple storytelling that you're like, oh
basic shit, like super simple stuff.
Exactly.
If you're already gonna make it Super Saiyan, you might as well just copy the fucking Namek arc and make him go Super Saiyan after his fucking friend died. Like, if you're gonna copy it, go all the way, and don't do it at some weird time where it's just like, well, we have to be different. You know what I mean?
Seamus, anyway. One or two more things, then we gotta move on. Okay.
Everything else I have is I'm gonna talk about in ladies section, because that's all lady stuff.
I got you. All right, so we'll move on to characters, and obviously we're going to be focusing on the main boy, Dante, played by Johnny Young Bosch, and I'll say this off rip, I really like Johnny Young Bosch voicing Dante. Again, it was weird at first. It took me like till episode 2 to get used to it, but I did think he genuinely tried his best to sound different than Nero, and even when I see him in interviews, when like he talks about like how like his his voicing, how he had to change his voicing style up. Like like I was telling Roun, even in the group chat, I was like, like his when you hear Nero, it's more like a lot more. It's kind of like Ichigo, a lot more like angsty grunts and just a lot of angst in there. Know what I mean? But in this one, this was a lot more chill, a lot more smooth, a little more swaggy to it. I thought he did a good job. I could tell he was having a lot of fun. So I really thought he did a really good job voicing Dante. And again, this is not on what Roun said earlier. I did like how more grounded of an approach he was as an intro to the character, and then he gets more like a little bit more crazier later on. I thought that was good. And yeah, I mean, I like the design. The design's dope. I like the design. That's great. Like, it's just such a good design. Yeah, I thought Dante was fine, even though, again, it's just the continuity stuff with his arc, what Adi Shankar was messing around with. I just didn't like. Again, yeah, you're right, Jimmy. The jokes were trying a little too much, even though it was still fun. It was I don't know. Dante was I liked him, but it's mostly just due to like Johnny Young Bosch's performance though. But him, okay. Well, I'll say this though. When he's chasing after the White Rabbit, and then we see his fucking like face explode. That was crazy. Like I literally that caught me off guard. I was like, what the like it was whew. The way that was animated, like gave me a little chills. Like, this is really gross. But yeah. Any more thoughts? Any thoughts on Dante? Any more thoughts on Dante?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think JYB did a very solid job. Just like you, I think by episode 2, I forgot that it was JYB. He just sounded like Dante. I didn't have that raking feeling in the back of my head that Nero was playing Dante for the entire season, which is something I was worried about. Yeah, so I was happy with that. My only beef with the Adi Shankar version of Dante is that I felt like they were scared to make him super cool. I felt like they had kind of the same issue as the reboot, where I feel like they don't believe that Dante is cool in real life. Like they think he's cool in the context of the games, and that they can't translate that into reality. So they had to kind of acknowledge in universe that he was kind of a dork. So I didn't like that. I think it was really insincere. So like the games are campy, but they're sincere. They lean into the fact that if it's either Kamiya or Itsuno, they believe that Dante is the coolest fucking character they've ever made, and they lean into that. I don't feel like Adi Shankar thinks that Dante is the coolest fucking character he's ever seen. So he had to make Lady the coolest fucking character you've ever seen, and she had to point out that Dante was a huge fucking dork all the time. So that's my major beef with this version of Dante. But otherwise, I love the design. I love the voice acting. I think the action was sick for the most part. I would have juiced up the fight with Rudra. I think that was a little bit of a letdown, but otherwise I think he was really solid.
To add on to your point, I think the only time I ever like felt where it's like, yeah, like Dante's cool as shit, like he's the coolest character ever in this show, was in that apartment fight. That was like because you even have the other villains being like when he starts playing the music and he's like, oh shit, like I'll give this guy one thing. This dude has taste. I was like, like it's like he's cool as shit. And then he was doing cool shit, and then that was like the only time I ever genuinely felt that. But I do agree with you with the rest of it. Yeah, it's like he kind of feels like he's kind of like a dumb dork throughout the rest of the show. I was like, okay. All right, Seamus, anything you want to say?
No, I was gonna. That's exactly what I was gonna say. Is that I feel like that's if you're doing any Devil May Cry adaptation, whether you're doing a movie or a TV show or anything, the people involved have to play it 100% straight. They have to play it 100% straight because that's what makes Dante work. In all the games, they played it 100% straight. They were like, yes, Dante is the coolest character you've ever seen, and you're going to believe it by the end of this fucking game. And they proved it in like 4 out of the 5 games. DMC 2, he was a little too sad for me, but like in all of them, he became cool because everyone who was creating him believed he was cool, and then that extended to you because then you're playing it and you're like, yeah, maybe this guy is kind of fucking cool, even though he's saying like something that's a little stupid. He's saying it in a way that I kind of fuck with, and that's the issue with this show is that they're scared of being sincere. They're so scared of being sincere and being and letting the cacophony of feelings and themes of Devil May Cry that were in the games come to the forefront. So they constantly have to be pulling a Deadpool and doing like this wink nod bullshit where they're like, we know it's silly, but you know what I mean, or it's that joke didn't land, and it's all that MCU writing bullshit that I'm like, just be sincere. We're here because we like the fucking character and we like the show. You don't gotta be doing all this irony bullshit where you're like, it's just like, just play it straight. I'm fucking want to watch a Devil May Cry show. I don't want to watch a show that's like, Devil May Cry is dumb and for babies, right? Like, you don't really like this. And it's like, dude, I do. Fuck you. Like, don't fucking give me that. I fucking love Dante. Don't try to act like it's like, I like Dante ironically. No. And I also don't like the extension of using the fandom's perception of these characters as now their characters. I think that is also a trend that is slowly poisoning a lot of the art that I engage with the fact that, like, Dante is not wacky Yahoo pizza man. That's not who he is. He is a very layered character of someone who uses his carefreeness to try to impart a kind of kindness onto others. And I think that's what's interesting about him. And I think reducing him to saying, oh, he's just a wacky Yahoo pizza man, he's just Deadpool, blah, blah, blah. It regresses his character, and it softens the point that his character is supposed to make. And it makes him just more of like a dull, round, irony poison fucking freak. That I'm just like, what are we doing? And there are moments where it's like 50% of the time it's like that, and then 50% of the time I'm like, oh, that is Dante. Holy shit. He's here. You know what I mean? And I wish the show just leaned into it and was like, yeah, no, it's Dante. It's fucking Dante. We're not going to try to like wink and nudge or like try to like hide it behind some kind of irony. We're going to like just give you Dante, and he's going to be Dante. And I wish they did that more often, because there are shards in the show that I'm like, yeah, there he is. That's my boy.
I feel like they did. One thing I did appreciate though was they did do. I did enjoy when they after like all the crazy stuff happens, like after all the crazy stuff happens, especially in the intro, like they do a good job of like bringing him back to earth again. Like when he starts like having flashbacks with like Ava, and then remembering Vergil, like those flashbacks involving like the amulet. I liked those moments a lot. And again, like it was a little bit of a breather from like all the haminess that they were doing. And I do really hope they do a really good job of balancing that in the next season, if we get a next season.
Yeah, exactly. I hope, because like Johnny Young Bosch is fine. I said it like 3 times this review, but I don't know why they got him. But it's still Johnny Young Bosch. He's still like one of the greatest voice actors of all time. So like, I never thought he was going to do a bad job. It was more of just a very weird creative choice to cast him. But like, he's good. He's good as Dante. He can pull it off because like he's Johnny Young Bosch.
I do low-key want him to voice Nero and just be like, it's just, I think we talked about it before. It's like, it'd be kind of cool if like the reason why like Nero sounds like how Johnny Young Bosch voices him in the games, like that's how Dante sees Nero as a younger version of himself. So like I thought that would be like a cool.
That's what I was like. That would be a cool creative choice that they would never make.
No,
that is a cool, because it's too cool and it's too sincere. They wouldn't do that. They'd cast Johnny Young Bosch, and Dante would be like, you kind of sound like me, and then Nero would be like, you sound like me, old man.
Yeah,
and
like
you'd be like, oh, this sucks.
Yeah, like if we got a show long enough to where we got like Dante like a bit older, and it was a different voice actor, but yeah, it's Johnny Young Bosch voicing Nero. That would be cool. But yeah, I digress. So I think we'll just move on to now the big subject, the big topic here is
the problem.
Lady, who's voiced by Scout Taylor-Compton, I believe is her name. I want to say this. I saw a comment earlier, and it was from Gabe. I'm trying to find it, but he made a really interesting point about oh, here it is. So he said, Gabe said earlier that Lady is my biggest issue. That's the most glaring misunderstanding of the kind of corny, campy, earnest DMC writing, and instead makes her this aggro F-bomb factory. And then he also said as well at the later on, he said that's what I meant earlier about Lady. That what they did with Lady, the interpretation of Lady here feels mean in universe and mean towards her as a character. So
She's like she's entirely a summation of like all the issues wrong with this show. Unnecessary changes that do nothing to add to the character, a very mean-spirited dialogue system that just makes her sound like a total dick to everyone, even whether or not she has the new backstory to back up why she acts like that. It makes no goddamn sense to the character. And it just feels so like a this is how I feel lady is, even if it may or may not be how she actually is in the games. And again, you know what I mean? People come at all these criticisms going like it's an alternate universe, it's a whatever. But like alternate universe or not, this is still annoying and doesn't play off Dante as well as original DMC3 lady did when she was introduced. Because DMC3 lady, when she was introduced, she was mad at everyone, but she wasn't like a dick about it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
She was mad at Dante. She was frustrated with Dante, but she still talked to Dante like a person. And she was frustrated when Dante would belittle her, but he wasn't actually belittling her. He was trying to get her to get out of there because she was in the Temini Gru as just a regular human. And Dante's like, "Yo, dude, they're like fucking demons from hell in here. You can't be in here." And he was just trying to get her out. And it's like that kind of kindness that Dante exhibited in his own like silly little way by like doing Spider-Man quips at her, and she would just be like, "Dude, I don't like talking to you, man." And that's the extent of it. And she would just get frustrated and annoyed with him and walk away. She wouldn't be like this lady where she's like an IDF soldier who wants to kill as many refugees as possible and is like, "Dante, you're a fucking fuckstick on a fuckhole from a fuckstick." And you're just like, what the fuck are you saying to me? Why are you talking like that? You don't need to be doing that much. We just had an Invincible episode 3 weeks ago where Invincible, alternate universe evil Invincible even says, cursing doesn't make you cool. And it rang true 3 weeks later with Lady, where it was just like,
I forgot about that.
She just sounds so like someone's idea of a cold-hearted bitch character, which is already a very like misogynistic kind of character trope that we don't really need. And I think adding her character arc behind it doesn't really back it up in any meaningful way. Because another thing that I've been wanting to talk about this entire time is like, why did they change all that shit with Arkham's backstory and like Lady's entire backstory to make Arkham like a weird I just didn't understand any of those changes they made, and it just ultimately like made me go like, is 3 even gonna look the same if they ever even get to it? Like they've already changed so much with all these characters that it's just like, what are we doing?
Well, so that's the weird thing. I genuinely don't think they're ever going to do 3.
Exactly.
Because
so much has changed.
It wouldn't make sense.
You can't get there.
No, yeah. We started. To me, where we are is before 1, but after 3, because Vergil's already in hell and he's Nilo Angelo, so we're fucked.
Yeah.
But yeah. On Lady specifically, I feel like this is a bigger part of the Dante issue. They don't think Dante is cool. They don't think Dante is believable as cool. So I think they tried to create Dante in Lady. They're like, okay, what would be a believable ultra badass who never loses, who's like super powerful, kicks demon ass? And in Adi Shankar's mind, for some reason, she is a government agent who has tons of tech. She's backed up by science. She has bullets that can kill demons in one hit. So I feel like this is them trying to rationalize, like create a version of Dante that the average person can buy into, because they don't think that Iwaku Nuhu Pizza Man is cool. So they have to create someone who's cool, and the only way they can do that is by making her beat Dante's ass repeatedly. So Lady to me is the embodiment of them not buying into the core of DMC. They don't believe in Dante as Dante. They don't think that you can sell Dante as a character. They don't think you can sell these like character-driven stories, that you can sell the campy idea that being human is what's important. They need you to be fighting for something that's like morally, objectively right. It needs to be like a social justice issue. We have to comment on the current political landscape. We have to comment on like gender politics. You have to have a badass female character who, fights misogyny. We have to do all these things and check all these boxes.
Yeah, and like Lady in 3 was already badass because you see a girl show up to like the portal where all the demons are coming through with a giant ass rocket launcher with a fucking grappling hook on the front of
Yep.
it. You instantly think,
Mhm.
"Holy shit, that is the coolest character I've seen in my entire life."
Yeah.
And then on top of that, she has an incredible character arc where like she learns to get past her trauma through Dante, and like they both help each other kind of learn to kind of be more human. And it's just like a great arc that makes her instantly like the coolest character in the entire, because there's a reason why after she showed up in 3 she was then brought back for 4 and 5 instead of just like Lucia, ignored and thrown away, because Lady was
Exactly.
so fucking cool. They were like, no, she needs to be in all these fucking games because she's so cool. And it's like you said, you're exactly right. It's a summation of every single issue of the show, whether it be any of the issues that you have. You can literally point it back to Lady, and how Lady is just so mishandled and so mischaracterized, and she's both the source of half the issues and also the cause of and also the like the effect of half the issues, and it just leads to you going like, it's why everyone's talking about her being the most frustrating character in the show. It's entirely the most annoying aspect. Again, and no offense to Scout Taylor-Compton, did a fine job voicing her, and just not given much character to write with, not given anything really to do other than be like a foil to Dante in the most annoying way possible. It just leads to a version of Lady that feels almost nothing like the version from the games, which is, again, if you're gonna depart from the source material this much, why even try to adapt it? Why even try to make something that's called Devil May Cry if you're going to change everything to this extent? Why not just make your own original concept that just is like, oh, it's Devil May Cry inspired, I like Devil May Cry, I want to make my own thing, instead of like doing this shit? Because what are we doing here? Because it's like we were talking about, it's going to be hard to get back to DMC3 because they might not even do it. But like, I totally see them doing 3 seasons of their own bullshit that eventually leads back to where we were at before DMC3. So Adi Shankar can like have a character go, I'm summoning the Temini Gru, and then it ends with like fucking like some like really bad 2000 song that he pulled from his iPod. And you're just like, all right, now, yeah, and then we're gonna get like DMC Nocturne, like we did with fucking Castlevania, and we're gonna get only 2 seasons of the actual game, and then it's gonna end, and we're gonna be like, fuck, great. Dude.
So and here's the thing with me when it comes to Lady again, Scott Taylor-Compton as a voice actress she did a fine job. It's just with me, it's just like I feel like Lady as a character in the games is more so like she's the constant like reminder for Dante of like how great humanity is in terms, because Lady was really just a girl that decided to come through with a grappling hook, and what you said, Shay, was a grappling hook and a bazooka, and trying to take on demons, and be like, that's so cool. And I did not feel, I felt she was more of a nuisance in this, and just like a vindictive kind of like mindless like demon killer in this with like, and I was just like, even though I didn't think some of this stuff like in terms of the action and stuff like that, like her action scenes were cool, it's just like in terms of the context of the story and what they placed her character within the narrative, I was like, I'm not really vibing with this. Like I don't really care much about Lady in this, like at all. I did like her, especially in episode 6, like the contrast of like her origin and the White Rabbit's origin and how their storylines played off of each other. That was good, but like again, but it's just, I just wish Lady Lady wasn't a Darkcom soldier. If she was just a regular girl, not a regular girl, but like, and how can I even say this?
If they adapted DMC3, you're saying? If
they just made her genuinely a bad bitch, be like, that's what she is.
Just be a bad bitch.
So they took like some weird liberties with Lady, and I'm going to be a nerd here. So in DMC3, I guess everyone can see Lady has heterochromia. She has 2 different colored eyes. In DMC3, you can see that she got it from her father. She got it from Arkham. And in DMC, the anime, she gets from her mother. Like she's nothing like her father. Her mother is like this adult lady. And it's weird because Lady's mother is already an important character, but the similarity between who she is and like who her father is important. She's kind of like, she has a mini reverse Vergil character arc.
Yeah.
So like her father idolizes demons because they're powerful, and he destroys his family in pursuit of that power. And Lady hates that. She's tracking him down to kill him. In the anime, her father is like this weak dude who his daughter was going to get killed, and he like froze up. While her mother is the valiant one. She's the one who goes and tries to save Lady. And then instead of like acknowledging that and repenting, he punishes himself by pursuing a way to combat demons, and in doing so he transforms himself into a demon. And then he kills her mother and perishes in the fire. So like he basically does nothing other than make Lady hate demons more. But
that's
a demon already tried to kill her, so we didn't even need that. He's kind of pointless. And in the games, Lady's mother is from the same bloodline as a priestess that helped Sparta seal off the demon world from the human world. So she's already a big deal. Like we didn't need them to character assassinate Arkham to like gas her mother up, because she's already super important. So it's just like this really weird, again, it's like anti-misogynistic, like men are trash, ladies are sick. Check this girl who like she's sick because her mother was sick and her dad was trash, and she's like a bad bitch. She's like kill off men. All right, it's like it's just like this really weird, unnecessary attempt at social commentary.
Yeah, and that's the kind of social commentary that works, is by just making her entire family be like, yeah, all the ladies in her family are sick, and the one guy that she had in her family was like Adolf Hitler.
Yep.
You know,
it's just very, very weak storytelling. Like
it was very weak.
Yeah. So I thought that was sad.
Real quick,
what I will say is,
go ahead.
What I will say is I don't mind them like killing Arkham off. I feel like White Rabbit has the same character arc as Arkham, but better. So I'm fine with them like getting rid of Arkham. I think they needed White Rabbit does better.
I gotcha. Yeah. What was I gonna say? No. Well, I was gonna go through the comment real quick. So the Doseret said, "I wonder how I'll like the anime as someone who has never been able to like was never able to like the games." Actually, yeah, no. Report back, because I want to hear. Wait, if when this live's over and you watch this shit, go in the comments, let us know, because I'm curious to see what you think about this. Someone said, yeah, DMC Ninja Theory is suck ass too. Yeah, we went over that. We went over that. Let's see. Gabriel said the chemistry she and Trish have with Dante in 4 and 5 was extremely earnest and great, and losing all that now really sucks, but really bad. Yeah, like that's one thing that I really love about Lady, just like her earnestness. Like I love that about her a lot.
And Trish is supposed to be a reminder for Dante of the where his humanity came from by being the spitting image of his mother. And Lady's supposed to be the basically like the constant reminder that humanity can change things for the better, because he, by being himself and being more human, was able to change Lady and make her into a more constructive force for protection than the path she was going down in DMC3. And that's why their relationship and them constantly being together is so interesting, and it's so much more interesting of a character dynamic than what they're setting up here with this Lady and Dante. That I just am like, why would you even try to adapt DMC in this way if you're just going to like fuck over all of this shit for the sake of your own character arc that you think is better, but is actually like really juvenile? I don't understand it.
In the live action DMC movie that they're gonna make based on this anime, Lady will be played by Mila Jovovich.
Dude, 2006 Mila Jovovich playing Lady in a DMC movie. That would have been I would have been like, that would have been there. I don't care about those shitty Resident Evil movies. I still would have been there.
But yeah. Any more thoughts on Lady before we move on to like the last? I think this is the last character. Right? I've only had 3 of them.
No, I'm good.
No.
All right. So last one is a White Rabbit. White Rabbit. And there's a comment here. from Kree said from as not to my point earlier. So yeah, I mean they did that fire part with was literally to be a parallel with the rabbit, which I liked, but in terms of the wider themes, it didn't work. Yeah, that's pretty much. Yeah, I pretty much agree. But yeah, overall, White Rabbit by Hoon Lee. Again, we said it earlier. I thought it was good. I thought it was really good. I love the character. Love the origin. Again, even though the context for like even though the context for the origin is based off of the government and the social commentary stuff, which I didn't like, but I thought it served his character well. And what Roun said earlier, it's is a spitting image of what a DMC story should be about, like, about discovering humanity and embracing and finding and learning what it means to be human. That was really good. Him turning into like super bunny, I thought that was really funny. Him getting like, I got too much blood in me, and then just fucking hulks out. That was crazy. Yeah, man, I really enjoyed his performance. Again, Hoon Lee is good. This is my first time ever hearing him voice act. So, but again, I want to see him voice act in more stuff. But again, if you haven't watched Warrior, people, watch Warrior. He's really good on that show.
Yeah.
But
White Rabbit was deep. No notes. My only beef with White Rabbit is when he turned into his giant form and he was using the Force Edge as a toothpick blade. That was whack.
That was so weird. That was so weird.
But otherwise, he was perfect. I think he was the best character this season. He is the true DMC character. If they had done just like a spin-off season focusing only on him, this would have been a DMC show through and through.
Seamus?
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about him. I think as much as I can in this review. I think he was solid. I think he's a solid antagonist. He at least adds some kind of intrigue to the show. Like I said, he's like the only character that feels like it was done correctly because I think that's due in part to the fact that he is mostly left in mystery and mostly left to only show up for very small amounts of time, which I think make his character stronger because he doesn't have the detriment that Dante and Lady do being the main characters and constantly have to be saying something and doing shit. You know what I mean? He can be a little mysterious. He can show up for a bit and go like, and then leave, and you're like, all right, I like that guy. You know? He was good. Like I said, Hoon Lee was good.
And then Crew was like, okay, looking back at everything, White Rabbit was the entire reason I liked the show so much. Yeah. It was just he killed. I hope he comes back, but like he's dead. So I mean,
he's very dead.
I would love him to come back in a very dumb, bullshitty way. Like, come on, that'd be nice.
We can make him an Angelo.
Yeah, make him an Angelo with bunny ears. Give him bunny ears too, like with the armor and everything. That'd be sick. I was gonna have a theory section, but like, should we have one? I don't know, like, cause Vergil was on there, but then we all went crazy with Vergil earlier, so.
We had to go ham on Vergil.
My theory is that this isn't getting season 2. My theory is that
if this does not get season 2, I'm going to be so
it'll all be a fever dream that we won't remember. It's my theories are all negative because they all lead to stuff that I don't like in the sequels, like Vergil working with Mundus and shit. I don't like that. I don't want it. I'm good.
I still have faith. I think that I think they can execute the Vergil arc good. I think Adi Shankar has shown that he will take criticism and he will fix shit. Castlevania was good. I still have faith. I really hope that we can have Vergil carry the show. He can bring us out of the social commentary, political background bullshit, and we can just get back to it being a DMC story. I need Darkcom gone in season 2. I need Vergil to just show up and lay waste to Darkcom in the first 3 episodes of season 2. And then it's just Dante, Vergil, Lady. We can introduce Trish, and we tell a DMC story. I was thinking as we're talking about Lady, Trish's entire character arc is the refugee story. So Trish is what teaches Dante that demons, even pure 100% full-blooded demons, can have humanity. and that devils aren't bad because they're devils. So I think if we can introduce Trish in season 2, get rid of Darkcom, get rid of the U.S. government, get rid of all the America business.
I do agree. We should get rid of the U.S. government as a whole. I agree.
Oh, that's it. Every time I come into the U.S. now, they're gonna take my visa away. They're gonna put me in a bathroom. They're gonna cavity search me. I'm sorry. I've ruined it.
I'm sorry. You're not getting back in. But it was for the good of the country. I'm sorry. You can't visit again. I'm sorry.
Man.
Oh, rip.
I'm crying. That's funny as fuck.
But yeah, I think Vergil will make and break the show. That's my theory.
Yeah.
Vergil, this show will live and die by how they depict
Vergil will make or break the show. Yeah, I agree. But one thing I wanted to bring up was we do get that reference of a job that Dante did in Raccoon City. So I was like this. I know we talk about Bayonetta and Devil May Cry, but like I would be down for like.
They're not doing it. No, Mikey. Come on, Mikey. Be for real. They're just referencing that DMC 1 was going to be a RE4 at one point. That's all they're referencing.
I know. Yeah.
That's all they're saying. Come on,
but like,
they're not doing.
You don't want to see. You don't want to see Leon S. Kennedy show up.
No, I don't want to see Leon S. Kennedy written by Adi Shankar. Thank you. I'm good. I don't want to see that.
The president mentions that in his term he has to do with VOWs and demons. They also say that demons are like an offshoot of humanity and they have their own DNA. Hear me out. New theory. We're going to have a Resident Evil crossover, and by VOWs are what happens when you fuse human DNA with demons.
That's
the T-virus is a demon virus. It's from Mikey. I made it.
The whole reason they were gonna do that, and the whole reason DMC exists is because they said, you know what? We shouldn't have any magic in Resident Evil. We need to cut that shit into its own separate thing. That's what they were gonna do.
I know. But yeah, she was right. Dante was going to be a Wesper kid. Real talk.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
And
I think I would like Bayonetta more than that, just because.
Yeah, that was the next.
I would take Resident Evil. Dante and Leon Kennedy back to back. Brilliant. I need it.
The thing is, like, that was the other point I was gonna make. Was just like, yo, like, Devil May Cry and Bayonetta, please. Like, this is it. It's just in case Adi Shankar's watching, please. Make it happen. We already said it earlier, and if in case you didn't see that part in the beginning of the podcast, Adi Shankar, we're gonna remind you again now. Make this shit happen, please. Like, it just you will win over so many fans with this season if you announce, oh yeah, next like 3 years, Bayonetta Dante crossover.
It also just like it just writes itself. It's so easy.
It does.
Like it's like the easiest layup crossover you could do. It's so easy. It's all you gotta do. I just don't understand. Like Resident Evil, you can fuck Resident Evil up. We've seen that with the movies. I think it's infinitely harder to fuck up a Bayonetta DMC crossover unless Adi Shankar decides to write Bayonetta as an evil like demon lady. And Dante he falls in love with.
Oh good lord! Don't do it.
And then you made a good point too. And you made a good point too earlier, Seamus. You could just say that Enzo is the same Enzo that's in Bayonetta. So, like,
yeah, that works. That works.
Because the character in Bayonetta is a reference to the character from Devil May Cry. So, like, just say that. It's easy. There you go. Bada bing. They both knew Enzo. They meet at his funeral. There you go. You know, and then you get to do the funeral opening from the beginning of Bayonetta 1, but it's at Enzo's funeral, and it's Bayonetta and Dante. And you think it's going to be Dante having to fight angels, but then the priestess at Enzo's funeral is Bayonetta. You see where I'm going? It's so easy to do this shit.
Get this man on the rating team. Make it happen.
No, listen.
You see what I mean, though? Do you see how easy it is to write this shit?
Yeah.
How do you have trouble? How the fuck do you fuck this up? If I can do it, do nothing. I can do it.
We talked about this, like, literally on the show. We're like, we need to have a podcast dedicated to, like, just us, like, just creating shit. Because we have so many days where, like...
That's the thing. I can do this shit. I don't even need to get paid. Just fucking do it, man. Just let me watch it. That's all I'm asking.
And who would you? I'm gonna ask y'all. Who would you want to voice Bayonetta? Would you want the original actress, or would you want someone different?
I don't even know if they can get the original actress anymore after that whole Bayonetta 3
Oh
shit
yeah,
that
I remember
happened.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I would prefer her. But if not, I did like what's her name? I did like Jennifer Hale as Bayonetta. She was good.
I guess.
Because she was good. I liked her enough in Bayonetta 3. I think she did a solid job voicing Bayonetta in that game. That I wouldn't mind her being back. Even though I didn't like 3 that much, but Jennifer Hale was good. I don't really know who else could really pull off like a Bayonetta other than her, but
yeah, that's a tough role to get right.
yeah.
That's fair. I mean, I had like one person in mind, but then she's like an actress, like a high end actress. So, I was thinking, 2 people. Okay, I was thinking either Eva Green, like to me, I don't know. I'm hearing Eva Green or like I think or Cleopatra Coleman. If you know what Cleopatra Coleman is, those 2 actresses I think would do a good job voicing Bayonetta if they decided to not get Jennifer Hale or anybody else. I don't know. That's just me personally. But yeah. I heard nothing else. I mean, I was gonna do one about how can they do Nero now because they fucked up the continuity so much. But like, I don't really want to get into that.
Dude, Nero's gonna be what's the worst thing they could do? Let's say like Nero isn't Vergil's actual son. He's like a combined clone of Vergil and Dante.
That would be terrible. Zero.
I would hate that so much. Like I would like honestly that would like literally infuriate me. Wow, you did it, Seamus. You actually managed to really piss me off.
Oh my god, no! Nero's perfect cell, and he's Vergil, Dante, Lady, and Trish. He's all their DNAs put together. And
I would hate that as much.
Oh my
god. Give it losing it in the comments. She was the curse of all.
Oh shit! Hold on, wait.
Oh my god! See.
I gotta check the comments real quick. Oh. He's like, I hate this. Why did you put this into the universe? Oh man.
That's what we need to do when we start doing that pitch show. We need to have one episode as like good pitches, and then the other episode is what is the worst possible thing we could think of to happen to this show.
Oh man, that's so funny. I mean, well, the thing is with Nero, it's just like if Vergil's been down, like in the demon world, being like working with Mundus, like how did he find the time to go to Fortuna and make a whole kid? You know what I mean? Like it's just I don't know.
Nero's the son. Nero's the son of Vergil and Mundus now. That's it. It gets worse.
Oh my god, they're gonna make Nero Trish. Nero just an artificial demon created by Mundus to look like Dante's son.
That would hate that so much. Like
we're
honestly,
getting worse. We're getting worse with these.
I would. Oh shit! I would be so pissed at Adi Shankar if he did that shit. Honestly, I would be like, oh my lord. Like.
And Nero's actually evil and hates humanity.
Oh my gosh. All right, I don't want to talk about this anymore, y'all. I'm so disgusted. All right, so to close it off, Roun, Seamus, give me your final thoughts and your final verdict. So, what would you give the Devil May Cry anime on Netflix out of 10?
Out of 10, I give it a solid 6. I think if you are not a DMC fan and you don't know anything about the games, it might be maybe like a 6.5, 7. If you like DMC, it's a 5 tops. It's just there. You can watch it. It exists.
It exists.
Yeah, like 100% agree. I'd say it's like if you're a fan, it's like a 4. You're gonna get frustrated because like okay, if you're a fan, it's gonna feel like a 1, but in actuality, it's probably gonna be more like a 5. Yeah, where you're like it feels like a 1 because like even the good stuff, you can't really pay attention to that because they just did something so offensive that you're like, what? Whoa. And you can't think about the good thing they did right after because you're too busy going, why the fuck did they do that? And if you're not a fan, you'll probably think it's like it'll probably be a 7, but you'll act like it's a 10 because it'll be like, all right, but like since you haven't seen anything from Devil May Cry, you'll think it's like the coolest thing ever until you play the games, and then you realize you're like, wait a minute, that's actually the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. Sick.
So,
all right.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I mean, it's pretty much the same all around. I would probably give this like a 5.5 or probably 6 at most. There's some things that I didn't generally enjoy, and like a lot of stuff that I did not. But I feel like this show ultimately there's a good amount of potential for a second season. That was the biggest thing I took away from it. I was like, yeah, like there's a really, the way it ended and what they kind of set up, there's a really good amount of potential for Adi Shankar to, like, you know, take some feedback, change some stuff around, and actually, like, you know, stick the landing with the season 2. So so yeah, it would be like a 5.5 or a 6 for me. Fuck you, Cameron, go fuck yourself. He's like, I'm surprised Mikey rated it so low. Listen, I don't have to like everything, okay? Oh man,
that's how you know it's bad. Mikey likes everything, and he didn't even really like that.
It's funny because it's like this has been the lore with me ever since like college, and it's stretched to like the Xion Network too. Like it's crazy. Like it's oh lord.
Listen, you get so hype about everything.
Listen, man, that's just me, bro. I'm ecstatic. That's why I got that name, bro. Come on, it makes sense. But yeah, that is.
Does that make me Static's white friend whose dad is racist?
You're Richie. You're my Richie, bro. You're my gear. Just real quick, just increase it, and then the person I watched it with says they'd give it a 7 or 8. They never played. That's the thing. Like, I really want to know, and I'm gonna hit up my friend after when she's done, but like what she thinks of it, because everyone has no experience with the game. They probably are gonna like it a little bit more. I mean, she already started like posting like fan edits of like Dante already, so I'm like, oh shit. I was like, okay. No! She already. That's gonna be another. That's gonna be another freaking anime male protagonist to add her to her freaking weeb wall, because she actually has one of those.
Oh my god! Was she posting Gojo shit? Was she posting Gojo shit back in the day when? I fucking hate.
Oh, you know it.
But yeah. All right. So we'll just close it off here. So thanks for everyone who are watching this or will watch it. We appreciate it. Please hit the subscribe button and please hit the notification bell so you know when we drop new content. Real quick, just, you know, Roun, thanks again, bro, for coming through. I know it was a little rough because you sounded like, you know, you were 10 leagues under the sea there for a second, but you fixed it.
Yeah.
And you made it work.
I did. Brought it back.
Yeah, you brought it back. Again, you wanna you know, tell people where you can find you, or you want to plug anything? I know was anything Xion related. I know we're kind of lacking a little bit, but you know.
Yeah. You can follow me on Instagram at Art of Roun, so ARTOFROUN. Follow me on Instagram. I'm part of the Horseplum. We did a show called This Is the End, where we would review comics from the Caribbean. That's still up on YouTube. Look for the Xion Network page.
Yeah, it's in our channel list, and I'll put it in the description here too.
Also, we just finished. Cameron can correct me if I'm wrong. I think we just finished our first Horseman comic called Couple 6.
Oh,
so
nice.
Look out for that coming soon.
Nice. Oh, yeah, that's all you got. Okay. Yeah, people. I will put the Roun's IG and then also the Xion Network's IG and the YouTube, and that's my second family right there. Those are my people. So I'm happy that, you know, we gotta plug all that stuff and check out all that stuff too. I didn't know y'all had a comic, you and Cameron, so that's great.
We've been working on it for a while. It's the entire team. So Moz and Ian as well. And Jessica. So yeah.
That's what's up. And again, people, if you haven't checked it out already, check out, you know, some of the other videos, check out the other After Dark, some of the Daredevil review that we did, the Cap review that we did. You know, the Transformers stuff, the Deadly Class stuff, the interviews, you know, the Alex Cormack interview. What's up?
We're doing Daredevil Born Again Season 1 review next week, right? Because it's over next week.
Yep, next week. When
we're doing that next week.
And yeah, I mean, and then we got some other stuff planned, maybe if we can execute them. But but yeah, as always, people, we love it, I appreciate y'all. And again, if you have watched DMC, what do you think? You know, do you like it? Do you not like it? Put in the comment section down below. And as always, people, get home safe, and we'll catch y'all next time. All right, peace.
Peace.